Last week, and this came out before the Zadarius Smith trade, so that's a caveat we do have to consider here. PFF released its rankings of the best rosters in football based on talent, positional importance, top to bottom. And Anthony, do you want to start? We want to run through all 32 real quick, and then we'll break into whether or not the Browns are properly ranked too high or too low?
Yeah, so Steve, you can take 177 here. So at first place, they have the Eagles and the 49ers, the Bengals, the Chiefs, and then the Bills. Steve, we can go next. 6 got the Cowboys, the Jets, the Ravens, the Chargers, and the Dolphins. Go ahead, Steve. Seahawks, Steelers, Lions. There's our Browns there at number 14. Jaguars. Vikings, Commanders, Patriots, Saints, Broncos. Raiders, Bears, Giants, Panthers, Titans. Falcons, Packers, Buccaneers, Colts, Texans, Rams, and very last, the Cardinals.
So that's PFF's list of the best rosters. I will say once again, this was before the Zadarius Smith trade. So let's start with that little caveat first. Adding Zadarius Smith to this roster, do you think that bumps the Browns up 2 spots? Zadarius Smith, 2 spots, 3 spots, 4 spots?
Let me see that.
Where do you think that goes?
Let me see that again, Anthony.
They're at 14.
I need to see the teams where the Browns is.
It's the third one. Yeah, 11 to 15. They come in at number 14. They're ranked 4th in the division behind the Steelers, Ravens, and Bengals. But once again, I think, me personally, the Zadarius Smith move puts them ahead of the Steelers now at the minimum.
They definitely above the Lions. I'm going to tell you that right now because the Lions secondary is trash. As far as Pittsburgh is still – I think Pittsburgh got some game records, but it's still some position that's they need there. You know, they didn't address all of their needs, but particularly their offensive line is still not that great. I like the Browns. When you look at the Browns team, I don't really see like a flawed spot. Like I think they got players in every position. You know, if you look at the offensive line, defensive line, secondary, linebackers may be the only one, but those guys have been productive at times. So I think when you look at it like that, I would put them above Pittsburgh too.
G?
Man, I want every Cleveland Brown. I want every Cleveland Brown to tap in real quick, man. Right now, man, y'all cats ain't y'all tired of this? Like, y'all cats be getting disrespected at an all-time level. And for once, I would like y'all to go out and play with some sort of chip on your shoulder and attitude, because they treat y'all like a bunch of nice dudes that don't matter. And for the most part, I can't fault them for it. But y'all got so many dudes and playmakers on this roster, and they consistently give you this backhanded, disrespectful, oh, it's just the Browns talk. Like, when is y'all going to get ready to go out and dominate people and then say, yeah, we dominated them and we don't like them? When are we going to get to a point where y'all can actually talk to other people in the division and be like, listen, the Bengals is cool, but we don't fear the Bengals or the Ravens, and we definitely don't even like the Steelers. The fact that they got the Detroit Lions higher than y'all as far as talent, the fact that the Steelers is even remotely, even close in terms of talent rated higher than them, and the Seattle Seahawks, like at the end of the day, I like some of these teams, but when you look at it, nobody can boast this. We arguably got the number 1 pass rusher. We arguably got the number 1 running back. You talk about it, we got a top 5 offensive line. You've upgraded your receivers, and you already had Amari Cooper. Your secondary is nice. You got dudes in there in the secondary that have won championships. You got guys. The leading tackler on the team was your safety, and he's coming back. And not to mention, you got a Zadarius Smith, who's now gives you probably the best tandem in terms of pass rushers. They disrespect y'all, and they do it because they feel they can get that off. I want y'all to look at this stuff and come out this year and be like, look, we not about to be nobody's doormats, because we tired of hearing this noise and jargon and stuff like that. It's a disrespectful spot to be 14, especially behind the Steelers with their no-name quarterback. That's terrible.
Yeah, I do think the Zadarius Smith move would change the rankings. I certainly think they'd move up a couple spots. G alluded to something that this brings us to the big question with this topic here. Looking top to bottom, and we don't have a final 53-man roster yet. We have about 70 guys on the team. They'll add more. They'll end up cutting it down to 53. When you look at this Browns team entering the 2023 season, Tyvis, we'll start with you. We'll go around. Do the Browns have a championship caliber roster heading into week 1 of this year?
Based off of talent alone, they've had a championship roster for the past 3 years. I think that the difference is that is what G alluded to. It's the attitude of the players. It's the attitude of the team. I think that's because the talent is there. I mean, on paper, talent-wise, every position has exactly what they need to win a championship. It's the attitude. It's the doing the extra stuff. It's being a professional about the career. That's what they're lacking on this team. If they can get that to meet the expectations of this team, then they would definitely be a playoff team, could go to the championship for sure, because they have addressed all the major concerns that was on this team. I think they will do it because of with the coaching staff that they got in there. It'll change the mindset of these players. But at the end of the day, it's all about attitude. They come in there with that, and we the dog pound, and y'all want to be some dogs, go out there with that attitude. And I promise you, y'all would not just win, y'all will blow a lot of teams out. Because on paper, as far as roster, it's an X factor each week. Y'all have a mismatch somewhere every week on y'all roster. So y'all just got to exploit it.
I wouldn't even mind if they played in a way that they call the Browns a dirty team.
I wouldn't mind that either.
I'd
say thank you. It's about time.
I don't want people comfortable. I don't want people's children comfortable coming to the stadium. If you see the Browns on the schedule, you say, no, we're gonna go to the Steelers. We'll go to the Steelers game because we're not gonna show up in Cleveland Stadium like that because you know what is gonna happen. Like, it's too lax. It's too comfortable. I need to see that from the Browns. When is the last time, Tyvis, you saw the Browns play a team and they win it, and they slap on that extra touchdown?
Well, they don't. But do you know what the reason is, though? The head coach. That's not the attitude of the head coach. That's not who he is. God. Now, I'm not saying nothing's wrong with that, because on the offensive side of the ball, I think he is. I've seen him do it. I've seen him torment corners and stuff like that. If he sees blood in the water, he attacks it. That's what I've seen before. So, but I just think overall as a head coach, he doesn't come off to me as that type of guy. He's a very laid-back type of guy.
So here's the thing. What I would like to see is I want to see Jim Schwartz or somebody in this. And people talk about changing the culture a lot. Culture is just a word that people throw around. You got to drill down on that. I want to see killer instinct. I want to see you embarrassing people. One thing I can always appreciate about a coach, Urban Meyer, that you played for. Urban Meyer has always been the way he is.
Yeah.
When he was at Bowling Green, I was at OU. And we played them in that same office they was running around. They put 72 points on us. They beat us like 72-10. And I loved it because I saw the look on my coach's face when we was getting smoked. And I was looking at him like, that's another man on the other sidelines, McNuggets, giving you that work, and you can't call it off. And at the end of the day, I respected him even though I was on the other sideline, because you knew what you was going to get. If you was thinking that they was going to give you the gentleman's punt and they was going to keep the score down to 44-10, that's not what he's about. He's about pouring that Kool-Aid.
That's a fact.
That Kool-Aid.
Listen, he would tell you, listen, it's not our fault that they're on our schedule. It's up to them to get better. We're not about to come down and play to their level. We're teaching them a lesson. If you want to compete with us, you got to get better. And that's just what it is. It's a dog-eat-dog world. This game of football is a violent game, okay?
Yeah.
If you got the chance to run up the score and let somebody know that it is what it is, this ain't no fluke, then you do it. And that's what Stefanski needs to do. Just go out. You got all the tools to score as many points as you want. And there's nothing that a lot of teams can do about it. Really, honestly, when you look at it, it's like there's nothing you can stop. So just do it. Unleash the playbook. That's what you need to do.
And to your point, it's not just offensively anymore. Like, they have the pieces on defense, too, to run up the score on offense and completely shut you down on defense. When Bull said this last week, and I think he's spot on. When you look at their position groups, top to bottom, quarterback, running back, receiver, the only one you can even make the argument that is below league average potentially is linebacker.
Yep.
And I think it's too fair to even fully judge that linebacker room because of the circumstances last year, as you alluded to, Tyvis, where they were taking on offensive linemen and trying to make plays, and they're just not big enough and or talented enough to do that. Back to the question of is it a championship roster? I think absolutely it's a championship roster. And you look at the DNA of championship teams. They all have relatively three things in common. They're each unique in their own ways, but they have three things in common. One, top-tier quarterback play. We did not see that from Deshaun Watson last year. We all expect him to get back to at least the same level he was in Houston, if not even better. Cross that off. I believe the Browns have top-tier quarterback play when Deshaun Watson has a full offseason with these weapons. Two, you got to get to the damn quarterback. Last year, Kansas City, Chris Jones and Frank Clark. The Eagles had 4 dudes with 10-plus sacks.
Yeah.
Now the Browns have Jim Schwartz, Zadarius Smith, with Myles Garrett, with Obo Okoronkwo, with Dalvin Tomlinson, who Matt Collar told us last week doesn't have the sack numbers, but is an underrated pass rusher from the interior to go with a Mo Hurst, a Tristan Hill, a Siaki Ika. They have weapons. And Ajeez even said last week, too, you got JOK on blitz stunts now, which is where he excels. And then you got to have playmakers and game breaker kind of playmakers. And on offense, Nick Chubb, as good as it gets. In the receiver room, we've seen Amari Cooper take over games. We all think and believe Elijah Moore can be that outside X factor for the Browns. Maybe it's Cedric Tillman. Hell, maybe it's David Njoku making one-handed catches like he did against the Buccaneers in overtime, or to send that game to overtime. And then on defense, Denzel Ward, Martin Emerson, Newsome, Delpit, maybe JOK develops into that. In my opinion, those are the characteristics and the DNA of championship teams and championship rosters. And you look at the Browns from top, Myles Garrett, Deshaun Watson, Nick Chubb, down to whoever's 53 man on that roster, there's not a weak spot to look at least on paper. Will that translate? We'll see in week 1. But you have every reason in the world to be excited about the perspective of this team based on the 53 guys on that roster as we head into the season.
Well, I'll take it a step further. I mean, to be honest with you, it's actually win or nothing, because after this season, it's a lot of
It's a lot of question marks.
It's a lot of changes.
Yeah.
Obviously, the cap hit's going to hit. A lot of players' caps is going to hit. So it's a lot of players that you won't be able to retain, or you're going to have to cut for cap
There's
casualties.
a really good chance this is Cooper and DPJ's last season.
Exactly.
Really good
If
chance.
Tillman and Elijah Moore have big years,
They're gone.
They're gone.
Yeah.
And here's and I want to. I think sometimes you got to go back and question and look at certain things. I think a lot of this talk and conversation has to do with Deshaun Watson, and we talk about these last 6 games, right? Let's be for real. Like, how difficult is it? How difficult is it to not play in all these years, right? And then you come back, and you don't come back at the beginning of the season. You come back in the middle of a playoff hunt. These dudes, Tyvis, you know what type of shape and what type of game reps that you need. At the when you come in the middle of the season, there's a lot of things you know. You already know what I need to do to get my body ready for the week. The speed of the game has slowed down. Now you know on film tendencies, everything that you've been looking at from different teams. You've now had the time to make adjustments and mistakes that happened before. Now all those things are things that people are ready and prepared to play in the middle of the season. Now, if you just throw a quarterback in there and it's the hardest position in the world to play, you ain't through it, you ain't throw the ball in the whole year, you sat a year before that, you had no offseason, you didn't play in the preseason, the speed of the game is probably going like this, 1,000 miles an hour. Now, when we take a look and say, okay, Deshaun Watson, I think it's fascinating that people have written him off on 6 games, but they didn't write Stafford off. Matt Stafford didn't play all that well. They didn't write. We talk about David Carr. They didn't write him off. Heck, they didn't even write Derek. Same person.
We wrote David Carr after the rookie year. He was tough. That was a tough career.
Same joint.
Yeah.
But they didn't. Listen, Rodgers had a tough year.
Yeah.
They don't write these. They're not writing these guys off at the same level as all of a sudden for 6 games. Coming out of nowhere, all of a sudden, Deshaun Watson ain't never been good, ain't never going to be good, and now the Browns is ranked 16-20.
So
that's crazy.
So PFF, and I forget which I forget which PFF writer it was. I think it was Sam Monzon. I could be wrong, but they released their top 32 quarterbacks entering the season list. I think 2 days ago, and we've done so many quarterback rankings. Like I don't know how many more times we can say. I thought what he wrote for Deshaun Watson was as accurate as anyone I've heard. He ranked him 13th, by the way, 13th or 14th. And he said Deshaun Watson is the single hardest player to rank heading into the 2023 season. The single in the entire league, any position. He played 6 games in 2 years. We didn't see the normal progression of an elite quarterback from game 1 when he did play to game 6. It wasn't just shake off rust good. It was he just wasn't really good for 6 games. Showed a little signs of improvement. He wasn't as bad in week 6 as he was against Houston in week 1, but it wasn't like he was bad, little better, little better, little better. For the most part, he wasn't great last year. He wasn't very good last year, frankly said. But we also know what Deshaun Watson can do. And it's hard to kind of find that middle ground of, am I confident he's going to get it back? I think he can, but I haven't seen it in 2 years. We only have that 6-game sample size to grade him on in 2 years. You know what I mean? You play bad. So he's like, I think he's going to get back to being good, but I don't know how to officially rank that.
Pause this. Just put it right there. So 6 games, right? So give me 6 games. He didn't play good in 6 games, but the man got 111 touchdowns and 41 picks and 67% of his passes. Like, let's not act like you don't have a sample size. You know what it is. Like, people be acting real funny. Like, was he injured that year he sat out? No. He didn't do nothing. He was chilling.
Yeah.
So you got the next year, you got 6 games with no preseason, nothing. These dudes is writing him off for 6 games when I just saw 111 touchdowns.
But you know what? You know what the question really is? Are they writing him off or are they writing the play caller off?
Well, and real quick before you answer that question, G, they're not going to give Watson the benefit of the doubt.
No.
Like so in all these rankings too, I think it was Sam Monzone, Anthony. What he said's fair. He's tough to rank just because we haven't seen it in 2 years, and that is fair. Like, we all think he's going to be good. We just haven't seen it in 2 years.
Do you trust Deshaun Watson?
Yes, I
Do
think
you trust Kevin Stefanski?
For the most part, yeah. I think his play calling issues have been overstated. I'll be honest.
Garrett?
I'm gonna tell you about Stefanski.
Do you?
Yeah, I do.
I
went against Kevin Stefanski before, so I know he's actually.
From what I hear, what Kevin Stefanski said, when he said, I don't care, we'll just write up new plays. If Deshaun don't like the plays, we're going to go in every week with new plays or whatever one is, and that's how we're going to move. That's the attitude I like, because now you put a little bit of onus and ownership in Deshaun Watson's back pocket, where it's saying every single week we go in here, these are the plays we put in. These are the plays you said you're comfortable with. Now we need you to go execute the plays that you like and you said you're comfortable with. And for once, I think if you got a franchise quarterback, the coach is going to move naturally to the background.
Yeah.
If he naturally moves and he becomes part of the stands or part of the staff, or he's not the focal point. And sometimes when you don't have a franchise quarterback, you put a lot of emphasis on the guy who has the sheet in his hand.
Yep.
But when you got talent and that ball moving up and down the field, it goes from, all right, well, you a nice dude, to, oh, well, Deshaun Watson and the Browns are playing well, not Kevin Stefanski and the Browns offense. Mm-hmm. That's what we need to get to.
That's totally fair. And when you look at the weapons the Browns have this year, there's no shortage of options for Stefanski to dial up in the run game, in the passing game, in the play action game, the intermediate, the deep passing, the short passing, the screen. Like, they have weapons on 1st and 10 and 3rd and 17. Stefanski should have 3 good play calls in every situation. And I liked when he said, I'm working with Deshaun Watson side by side, hand in hand, to make sure he's comfortable. If he doesn't like a play, guess what we're doing? I don't have a piece of paper, but toss it out, we're going to draw up a new one. Like, that's what a good play caller should do with a franchise quarterback. And every indication we've got from the Stefanski-Watson relationship has been working towards this. A full offseason, those two putting their football minds together, creating and birthing a playbook that completely complements Deshaun Watson's skill set.
And we need that energy level. People talk about, they talk so much about what Deshaun Watson does on the field. I want to see Deshaun Watson. I challenge you right now. I challenge you. I need to see 2 to 3 celebrations a game. I need to see 2 to 3, 4 celebrations. Like, I need that exuberance, that youthfulness. I need that excitement, that stuff that people believe in. When you score a touchdown, I need you to let people know you scored a touchdown and you about to go back out there and put some more points on the board. See, sometimes when you go through a lot of different things in your life, people will strip you. They'll strip you of your powers. They'll say, you know, what makes you you is your personality. And they'll say, well, you got to show that you're contrite. You messed up, and they'll keep reminding you messed up. That was a year ago. This last year was the messed up year. This year, you go and mess other people up this year. Like, you let them know. And so when they talk about the Cleveland Browns, you're not going to be hearing allegations. You're going to be hearing, well, dang, Deshaun Watson is having an underneath a low-key MVP season. Wow, this dude is leading the league in touchdowns and completions. Wow, this dude got the Browns looking like, yeah, that's how you shut people up, that play on the field. And so I'm excited to see Deshaun Watson get back to that level where he got that swag and that it thing. Like, that's what I want to see.
Well, I think if he shows that, I think it'll unleash everybody.
Yep.
That's the thing. Because if he comes out there and he swag, it's contagious. It's like, man, I want to do that myself. So, like, let me start making some plays. And now you got a whole team that's getting their confidence. People call it cocky, but in this game, you got to have some cockiness or confidence in your game if you want to excel. And that's one of the clear things I seen missing on offense last year was that there was no confidence. Even that and defense, there was no confidence. I don't know if it was in the coach or if it was in the players or whatever it was in, but there just wasn't no confidence out there.
I was on Phil Taylor's show yesterday. I'm gonna ask you this question, Tyvis, and G. Bush, you too. Does that come and you say you don't know if it comes from a coach, but if a coach has, I don't want to say swag, but if a coach has that exudes confidence, he walks around the locker room and he knows that his stuff is good. You know what I'm saying? Like, these plays are going to work. This defense is going to work. My shit's good. I don't know how else to phrase it in a way. Does that exude to the team? Does the team kind of pick up on that and play with that same swag and confidence? And if it's not there, does the team struggle to kind of find that within themselves?
I'll give you an example. You want to know how I know it's true?
That's why I asked you.
Let's take Cincinnati, for example.
Yeah.
They got Lou as a defensive coordinator, and now all of a sudden they making these plays. There's some trash talking going on. They're confident. Before Lou, there wasn't a lot of noise being made out there in Cincinnati. And now all of a sudden they do now because of the defensive coordinator. So, yes, the coach and trusting and having confidence in the game plan, because a good defensive coordinator would show you, like, this is the play that they're going to run. This is what we're going to do to stop the play. And then as a smart player would say, okay, well, if we're going to do that, what happens if they adjust and do this? He'll say, it still works. They'll do this and boom, we'll be right here. Yeah. And you'll be sitting there thinking like, well, if that's the case, there's nothing that they can do. So now you got that confidence going into the game. Like, no matter what answer you try to come with on offense, we got an answer for you defensively, and that makes you play with confidence.
Same for you, G?
It's like, I give an example. Like, like you're a producer, right? Like, when we first started doing these shows, like, you don't really know who you got on the cast. You're trying to figure out what people's strong suits is and how they moving or whatever. But after you get to be in the mix of it, you've seen people talk on the run and you see people come together. It's like, okay, well, now you put a rundown together and you'll be like, man, ain't no such thing as a bad show. Like, I could put these topics together. I know people is going to be able to talk to them, expound to them, ad lib, be funny, do all these other different things because you've seen it before, because you got the collection of people. I think that when you give that off, like when you say, okay, we about to do this today, and it's going to work, this is psychology. This isn't just regular sports. This is all about the psychological mindset of people and successful people, visualizing success, being successful, telling yourself in the mirror, I am going to be this, manifested into reality. And a lot of people think that's just jargon, but the people that really are successful in life, from business to science, the people that are extremely smart or to athletes, those people expect that they're going to win. And even that's not saying that they're not going to lose, but the expectation level is, I prepared, I put in the energy, I put in the effort, I'm ready to go, and I see myself, visualizing myself as a successful person and getting it done. Yeah. So I think the coach can do that. I think the quarterback can do it. And when you get people moving in synergy and tandem, it's infectious.